let's just make a TLDR out of the patch notes. So, hey guys, GhazzyTV here with Corona, signing in for the duty of telling you what the fuck's going on with the patch notes for 3.17. So I apologize for my voice and the way I look, but you'll have to live with it. A lot of things are changing. I'm mega excited about 3.17. I think that the Siege of the Atlas and the crafting is going to be absolutely amazing. I'm very excited to see how this will turn out. Based on the patch notes, there's a lot of problems, but also a lot of good things that's happening at the moment. Some of the changes are improving self-casting, and they're nerfing trigger things like caster channeling, caster crit, and all these things. We talked about this from the manifesto. Turns out, though, that caster crit seems to be pretty fine, especially with buffs to things like Forbidden Right, whereas caster crit things from utilizing Mjolnir, Poet's Pen, Cop's Priest Malice are the ones that are actually nerfed because of the 100 MS increase on the CDR rate, right? However, Cosprey's Malice was only used to trigger utility options. So, Cast and Crit Cosprey's Malice will still be fine. Cast and Crit that didn't use any of those will be fine. It will actually be buffed by about 4 to 5% or something like that. So, it's actually pretty fine. But based on what I've seen so far, I think that League Starter options, I think DD will be fine-ish. But based on what I've read theoretically, I think that Dancing Dervish will be absolutely amazing, and that's something that I'm very hard leaning on playing. Dark Pact will be just as strong as before. They haven't touched Mage Skeletons. They have, however, buffed the living bejesus out of it, because you can use the new version of Legacy of Fury. It no longer has this, and instead has enemies being scorched that are nearby whoever's wearing these boots. And assuming that the Scorch has a similar baseline effect as the shield that you give Scorch from, which is similar to 1/3 of the max value, which is what the Brittle Shield is applying, that would mean a 10% negative elemental resistances. That's fire, lightning, and cold. And if you have a 50% increased Scorch effect and roll on that, that's 15%. That's 15% negative elemental resistances. Combining that with something like Crown of the Tyrant, that gives another 10% resistances, which includes chaos actually, but also elemental resistances. That lets your Animate Guardian have 25 reduced elemental resistances. You can also use an influenced pair of gloves to let him apply exposure, if you will, to give even more resistance, dropping from the AG, and he's actually going to be tankier because of the buffs to doppelgangers. Guys from the Maven as well, and then put a Kingmaker on him, and suddenly the Mage Skeletons, based on what we've seen so far, has actually been fucking buffed. Don't ask me why, but it seems like Mage Skeletons have actually been quite significantly buffed, which is crazy. So there's that. I think that Mage Skeletons is going to be one of the most meta or most commonly played minion builds in the game. I also believe that Dancing Dervish has the possibility to be one of the strongest things around when it comes to... I'm just going to try to focus on minion stuffs right now because that's what most people are asking me about. I think that Dancing Dervish will, without a doubt, be a solid contender, but Mage Skeletons is just going to be ridiculously good. I think that Absolution wasn't touched at all. The only thing that changed on the Absolution was actually the on-damage effect of your own casting hit damage. It was actually buffed. So, I mean, that's nice, I guess. So there's that. So Absolution will be really good. And in a league like this, where the main focus is ultimately boss damage and actually killing new endgame bosses, having builds that does a stupid amount of single target damage, as well as having proxies that takes aggro, such as minions in this case, having both Absolution, Dancing Dervish, as well as Mage Skeletons will actually be ridiculously good to play with. So yeah, I think those are going to be fucking crazy, okay? That's what I think is going to happen. But other than that, there were some cool things in the patch notes that I did want to focus a little bit. Now, like, I don't want to make like a TLDR or the patch notes because there's a lot of information in there. Check out the patch notes yourself, and I'm just going to pick out some of the interesting stuff that we saw. So one of the things we picked out was this part here. Specters Spectre's Ray Spectre's most recent monster types are now saved to your character and may be desecrated. The size of the list is capped by your Spectre limit. Now, what this means is very straightforward. First off, it helps you with the idea of requiring Spectre banks, which is really, really nice. Nice change. However, it also potentially means two other things. One, do you need to actually have Ray Spectre as your skill gem on your character for this to be the case? Because if it works similar to how Animate Guardian gear is saved for the Animate Guardian on your character, you never need to have the actual gem equipped for that to be saved. Sorry. So what it means is that Ray Spectre corpses for builds like DD might not need to have the Ray Spectre gem equipped anymore. They just need to summon the Spectres once, and then they can remove the gem, and their Desecrate will spawn these corpses at all times. So that saves sockets for the Detonate Dead builds. Not sure if that's needed, to be honest, but what it does introduce is a very interesting mechanic in the form of utilizing Soul's Wick, which has been one of the worst things you could have done in the game since this shit was introduced. However, Soul's Wick gives 800 to 1000% increased critical strike chance, and you have a baseline duration of 20 seconds, but you get +2 to maximum number of Spectres. However, your Spectres are not permanent. But if you are able to lock your Spectres on your Desecrate and you spec into duration nodes, you can get them to last over 1 minute. Now, this means that optimally you can have 7 fucking Spectres. This will most likely feel like a painful nuisance to clear maps with. However, for bosses, that means you can have 7 Spectres with a almost guaranteed rate of 100% critical strike chance, quite reliably for 1 freaking minute. This actually seems to be a very cool possibility of us utilizing Soul's Wick for a bossing specific build utilizing 7 Spectres. If it's going to be that good to use, I don't know, but it's very interesting and does take it does bring us to the point where we kind of want to look into it, right? I'm not sure if it's going to be that fun to use because the most prominent Spectre choices right now use a Spell Echo, which means that to resummon them, you would have to take away the Spell Echo support gem, spawn the corpses, upon which with a Desecrate, each corpse has a 15% chance to become the Spectre that you want, then summon that. And once you've summoned one, well, it's going to die within the next 1 minute because of the duration limitation. But it does bring this little interesting mechanic into play. So we'll see how that goes. There's a lot of other things to mention when it comes to the 3.17 Siege of the Atlas expansion. Pretty much all of my crafting guides will have to be updated again. It's just, there's so much happening. It's just absolutely crazy. I'm very excited to talk more about this as we get the Atlas passive tree. So I will actually wait with making a video about this because I feel like a lot of us making content about this right now will just end up making theoretical assumptions and talking about it theoretically, and I'd rather make sure that I bring actual context to what I'm saying. So I'm going to see the actual Atlas passive, and then when I see that, then we can look into farming strategies and going into the approach of the remaining parts of connecting what we have in the patch notes with the actual Atlas passive. But theoretically, like I said, right now, Meixsell is untouched, DD seems to be fine, and pretty much most of the builds that worked fine last league will work fine this league, and Cassocrate is not nerfed that much as people are led to believe. But yeah, then Mage Skeletons and Dancing Dervish are the two big ones, Absolution, and there's a bunch of other builds that worked really well, but those are the minion-related builds I think will work really, really well. And then obviously the Caster build, Dark Pact, will work really well as well. But that's basically the TLDR I have for you guys when it comes to these the patch notes and what we've seen so far. I'm super excited. Hope you guys are as well. Let me know in the comments below which builds you think will be skyrocketing in terms of popularity with the expansion release, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and yeah, stay safe, keep rocking.